Hi everybody, my name is Gloria and I'm the vice chairperson of the Fun with Education Committee in Nature Society in Singapore. So that was my husband over there, so that's why we can talk to each other like that. Okay, so essentially today I'll be talking about fun with mammals. This is I've organized quite a few webinars since COVID struck, and essentially the idea is to share nature, even though we cannot meet in person. We would like to still educate people on the animals that can be found in Singapore. So essentially, I'll be talking about mammals today. So I'll share my screen now. Okay, hi. Okay, so basically the first thing is what is a mammal? So a mammal is a animal that has hair or fur versus feathers or versus other coverings. And they give birth to live young. Mammals don't lay eggs. Okay, and the moms nurture their young with milk. So the idea of mammals means it has mammary glands, which means to say it produces milk. Okay, and then mammals also have lungs and they need air to breathe. So even a dolphin is a mammal, it's not a fish, so it has lungs and it needs to surface for air. Likewise, the whales. And mammals also that live on land have four legs. But of course, humans are bipedal, meaning that we can walk on two legs. But essentially, we still have four limbs, okay? And ears that stick out. And mammals are warm-blooded, okay? So there are three groups of mammals, monotremes, marsupials, and placental mammals. So monotremes are only found in Australia. Essentially there are only two species of egg-laying mammals, okay, two out of about 5,000 species. So they are just the echidna as well as the platypus that you can see the picture over here, the dark-bearded platypus. Essentially, they lay soft leathery eggs and they have mammary glands. They don't have actually nipples for suckling, but the young, they let milk from the tufts of fur. Okay, marsupials are pouched mammals found mostly in Australia and a bit parts of New Guinea. And they do not lay eggs. Okay, only two mammals, which is just now I mentioned, the monotremes lay eggs. All other mammals give birth to live young. So the marsupials live birth, short gestation, the young are born really tiny. So for the kangaroo, I understand it's like a small pink thing, and basically the young will crawl into the pouch and they will continue to develop in the pouch. Okay, so they are definitely not independent until much later. So they complete the development of pouch and they suckle from nipples. Okay, so placental mammals are like humans and a lot of the others. So Singapore only has placental mammals. We don't have monotremes nor marsupials. And live birth, long gestation, born already, once you're born, you're well developed and nourished via, when during the pregnancy in the womb, is nourished via the placenta, okay? And the young, when they are born, they suckle from nipples. Okay, so how many mammals are there in Singapore? We have 73 native species, of which some are extant, meaning that they are still occur. About 50 still occur in Singapore. There are quite a lot have gone extinct, including the tiger and the leopard. Okay, so this 73 is including historical records. So native species means they occur naturally in Singapore. There's no agency on the part of man, meaning that man didn't bring over these mammals. And some have been extirpated, but then again, they got repopulated from Malaysia. For example, the smooth otter, the one that you see everywhere now, it used to be fairly rare but in the 90s, in the 1990s, they started to appear in Sungai Buloh, and now they are quite urbanized in the sense that they adapted to the urban environment even. Okay, and we have two introduced species. Okay, there are the brown rat and the variable squirrel. So the rat is the one that you see in the urban areas, and it is okay. It came by not that we introduced them as a pet, but actually they stole away from ships that used to come to Singapore. So they were on the ships, and then later on they basically got transported over, and then they came in by themselves. Okay. Whereas the variable squirrel, I understand that there's a population at the Bidadari area. It was actually released by someone as a pet uh, many years ago, but it became somehow it bred well and has established itself in the Bidadari area. Okay, so the idea of a feral species here means that it is manages to still breed, even though it's not in its native habitat. Okay. So I'll just introduce about 22 mammals that I've chosen. Basically, these are the more so-called common, that means and more widely known mammals. Okay, so then I have the notation, which is day versus the sun versus the moon. So sun means they are diurnal, active during daylight. Moon means they're active at night, nocturnal. Okay, so the long-tailed macaque is the so-called monkey that you know. Okay, why is it called long-tailed macaque? You look at this tail here, it's really long. There's another macaque called the pigtail macaque, which is a much shorter tail and is curly like a pig. Okay, so this is a long-tailed macaque. It basically is a very versatile. It has opposable thumb, and it basically is able to do it is able to live in many habitats, including parks, suburbs, mangroves, coasts, and forests. And I've even seen it when I used to live in Toa Payoh. It actually came over, and I saw it crossing an overhead bridge, scurrying across, and then it has done, and it somehow manages to live. And but in the forest, it eats it's omnivore. It eats fruits, insects, and okay, so this macaque here has young, and I think you have seen it around. It can be observed in many places. So as you can see, the young here is suckling from the mom's nipples. Okay, and essentially the macaque is also okay. I've seen it in the mangroves foraging for leaf oysters. Okay, so it basically held up a bunch of oysters. They broke it apart and even washed the oysters before eating. Okay, so it's quite amazing to see that it's a very human in behavior. Okay, so the smooth otter, as you can see, it has claws, okay, and the feet are fully webbed. Later, I'll be showing you the oriental small-clawed otter, which has only partially webbed feet. So this is fully webbed, and its main diet is fish, as you can see. So in this case, I photographed this otter eating a Midas cichlid from Marina Bay. Okay, this is an introduced species of fish, and it holds the fish up like a hamburger, and then it just chomps it down head first. Okay, and the otter is also as it is pretty versatile. This is mostly diurnal, and it moves in family groups. It gives birth to about 2 pups. Okay, basically otters do not swim naturally, so the young have to be taught how to swim. So there have been instances of otter pups drowning, okay, because the mom's attention was focused somewhere else. Okay, and otters are also aside from eating fish, they swim undulating swimming. I've observed them. I had a fun with a nature walk where we had Bernard Seow guiding us, and we observe it for 2 hours. We can observe from a distance. So if you want to do this kind of thing, you have to watch it from at least 5 meters away. Do not approach because they can bite you. Okay, I think there have been people that got scratched up. Okay, so okay, so now we have the plantain squirrel. This is the squirrel that you often see in parks. So how do you distinguish it from the slender squirrel, which is another one that is much smaller? So the plantain squirrel has what my husband called racing stripes. Okay, so it has this pale cream stripe and a black stripe. So it's like a race racing through the trees, and it has an orange belly. So when it's upside down, you can see the coloration, and obviously it's quite acrobatic. And in this case, it's collecting nesting material. So it builds a roundish nest with a hole, and inside is lined with fur. Okay, the nest is made of twigs. The plantain squirrel eats all kinds of things, including insects as well as fruits. Okay. Then there's the palm civet, which is common palm civet, which is known as musang in Malay. Okay, the palm civet can be seen at night eating from fig trees. It also likes to eat the fishtail palm, the fruits of the fishtail palm, and mangoes. And it catches, if it finds a nest, it will eat the baby chicks and eggs, and also birds like lizards. Okay, so it can be identified by a mask across its eyes and the nose. Okay, and then the rest are whitish face. Okay, with a dark mask. And on the side, you can, if you happen to look at it when it's climbing down, you can see three stripes on the back. Okay, and it has small little dots at the side. Okay, so these are 2 young civets foraging on the ground, but mostly they are found up in trees. Okay, so basically last night I was at Rail Corridor and we saw a civet up close. Yeah. Okay. So we also had a dog-faced footbat, which ventures into urban areas. You can see that how do you distinguish it is that it's much bigger than Asian housebat over here. It's about this size, okay, quite fairly big. It's like a minor size, and you can see, if you happen to see it up close, there's white bones, which is the modified arm that forms the wings. So it's a whitish kind of bones, and it has big eyes versus the Asian housebat, which has small eyes. So these big eyes means that it uses its nocturnal vision, night vision, to see. It doesn't have echolocation, okay? Because some people mistake that all bats have echolocation. This one uses its eyes to locate fruits to eat, and it hangs upside down. And it roosts in the day. You can even see at Sungai Buloh under the roofs, hanging down there in the daytime. At night, it starts to fly around. So even in your housing estates, in mango trees, you can see it flying around. Okay, so over here you can see a picture of the fruit bat with its young, which she keeps close to. The mom keeps it close to its side under the wings. Even in Buloh, you can see tiny little babies sticking out of the wings. And Asian house bat over here is much smaller. It comes out the moment it starts to get dark. It will small little bats flying around, and they basically are insectivorous. They use echolocation to locate insects. They don't eat fruits, so insectivorous basically feed on the wing, meaning that they can catch and eat the insect as it flies. Okay, and it's found in most parts of Asia. Okay, so we have here the house shrew. Okay, this is one of my favorite animals. It appears because it has really short, stubby legs, and okay, essentially it looks like a wound up toy. Okay, that moves very quickly, like scurrying on very short legs, and it has this pointy snout, and a short, thick, bare tail. Okay, so it's basically quite small, like this small, and it basically is good because it helps to eat cockroaches. Okay, so it moves around at night, and gives off high-pitched squeaks. So you can hear it at night. If you suddenly see something that squeak and run away, take a closer look. It could be the house shrew. Okay, so aside from eating cockroaches, it also eats other insects and seeds. Okay, then we have the brown rat. Okay, this is in that sense, the scourge. This is the one that has come over to Singapore via as a stowaway on the boats, on the ships. Okay, so the brown rat, Rattus norvegicus, even though the word norvegicus suggests that the rat comes from Norway, it is not true. It's actually from the Far East, from Russia, either from Russia, China, or Japan. Okay, it's indeterminate where it actually comes from, but basically it has spread around the world, and it basically can eat human food and populates the storm drains. So where pythons actually, in that sense, target this rat to eat. Okay, they are all nocturnal. Okay, sorry, I just want to mention that the brown rat gives birth to. It's quite difficult to control the population. So sometimes NEA has a huge difficulty controlling population because people continue to leave food outside. And you can have 5 liters a year of 7 young. That means it can have 35 babies a year. Okay, so it can reproduce really, really quickly if you give it a good source of food. Okay, so there's also the Asian house rat, which is can venture into the forested area, but it's also found in urban areas. It's a bit smaller than the brown rat, and what is mostly the underbelly is a bit paler. Okay, and it's able to climb trees and climb into the roof of houses. So it's also called the roof rat. And I understand that sometimes it dies in the roof and then leaves a really bad smell. So people suddenly realize there's a really bad smell coming from the aircon. Is likely the house rat. Okay. The brown rat doesn't climb roofs. Okay, the Eurasian wild pig is both nocturnal and diurnal. You can see it in the day too. So the babies have horizontal stripes that look quite like a watermelon. Really cute, going around. Okay, the Eurasian wild pig is the ancestor to the pig that we eat. Okay, but the ancestor pig, I mean, it being a wild pig, the actual wild pig has a mane. If you look over here, you can see that the male here has a mane. That means bristles of hair standing up on the back. When it feels threatened, all the bristles will stand up. Okay, and it also has tusk. okay, which is protruding teeth that can actually gore people to death. Okay, so people who are unlucky enough to encounter it in a bad mood can get gored to death, and mothers who are protecting their kids are also known to be very aggressive. Okay, so essentially, but otherwise they're quite peaceful. They forage by digging for roots and tubers, and they also pick up fallen fruit. So you can see a lot of evidence of them having come around is that you can see that the ground has been dug up, and sometimes the thing is that if you step into it, you might get ticks and mites. Okay, I've been infected before with ticks likely from a wild pig, but I had to like bathe in Malathion for 1-2 days, and the problem was weeded off. But essentially, the pigs, they actually, how to get rid of ticks on themselves, they basically wallow in mud. Okay, it cools them down, but it also gets rid of ticks, mites, and leeches. Okay, so these wallows sometimes become a pond, a little puddle that frogs breed in, where they can lay their eggs and have tadpoles. Okay. So the Raffles banded langur, this is the yesterday's had the news that the Raffles banded langur was sighted in the Bukit Timah Dairy Farm Nature Park, which is near Bukit Timah. So apparently it could be because the Echo-Link Bridge has managed to connect two separate fragmented forests, which is the Central Nature Reserve and the Bukit Timah Nature Reserve. So the Echo-Link Bridge, which basically they're bisected by the BKE, the Bukit Timah Expressway. So the Echo-Link has managed to connect them, and the trees there are like up to 15 meters tall. So that has, it could be the reason why the langur has managed to cross over to the Bukit Timah side, where previously they only found in the central catchment area. Okay, so how do you see it is that one good place to see is at Old Upper Thomson Road. You walk up and down the road. It's quite now there's a pathway. So the langur eats leaves and is active in the day, and when it jumps from tree to tree, it makes these great leaps, and it has this crashing sound that is high above you. So you look up, you might see this Raffles banded langur. Okay, so this is part of it's a very limited range. It's only Singapore and the southern part of Peninsular Malaysia. There's only about 67 numbers of individuals left in Singapore. So it's extremely endangered. We are doing our best to protect the habitats, and we are glad that it's managed to expand its range. Okay. Okay, then we come to the slender squirrel. This is much smaller than the plantain squirrel that we talked about, which has the racing stripes. So you look at this, it doesn't have any stripes at the side. It's just a paler underbelly, and the tail is like slimmer and not so bushy. Okay, and there's a eye ring, kind of orangey buff eye ring around his eyes, and carries his young in a little ball. Okay, the tree shrew. Okay, let me see. Is okay, common tree shrew. Okay, this tree shrew you can find in various places, but more in forested areas. So even in the botanic gardens, if you go into the rainforest walk, you can see it foraging. Usually it's on the ground. It's not, even though it's called tree shrew, it doesn't really go up trees that often. So on the ground, how you distinguish it from a squirrel is that it has a pointed snout. Okay, you can see, and that okay, you look at the profile like that, you see it's very sharp pointed snout. The squirrel is a more blunt snout, and it has this pale stripe over here at the side next to the ear. Okay, so this is markings of the shrew, and the tail is carried horizontally. It doesn't carry the tail upright, so it's horizontal and very bushy. Okay, so the tree shrew forages on the ground, eats fallen fruit, and catches insects. Okay, very cute. And then we have the Anandius rat. It's also called the Singapore rat. It's also able to climb like the roof. Like just now I talked about the Asian house rat. So how do you distinguish the Asian house rat with the Anandius? So the Anandius rat is actually both are about 22 cm, but the Anandius rat's tail is longer than the body. It's about 26 cm. Okay, whereas the Asian house rat, the tail is the same length as the body. Okay, so this is one way. And the Anandius rat also has a pale, almost whitish belly. So there's a very strong difference between the upper body fur and the underbelly fur. Okay, so so that's one way, and it also is able to climb short trees, and forages for rats are omnivorous. They eat insects and worms as well as fruits. And one of our favorite animal here is the Malayan Colugo. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but it is at night that they become active, where the Colugo is one of as a gliding creature, it has this membrane called the patagium that joins the arms, the legs, and the tail. So this membrane will make it look like a parachute. Okay, so with this parachute, when he wants to glide between two trees that are very, very far apart, even up to 136 meters apart, which is across a 6-lane highway, it has been seen to glide across. Okay, it can take a great leap, and it spreads out its patagium, catches the wind, and is able to glide without falling much in height. Okay, and you can see it only at night that it becomes active, and you can see it gliding around. The best place is at Bukit Batok Nature Park. Okay, so the Colugo is as a gliding animal is the one that can glide the furthest, because even this flying squirrel over here also can glide. You look at it, the picture, you can see is the patagium allows it to glide, but it can't glide as far as the Colugo. And the Colugo has a comb-like teeth on the lower, comb-like incisor on the lower jaw that allows it to scrape off. We have seen it scraping off lichen, which is growing on the bark, but mostly it eats shoots and fruits. Okay, and this is the baby sticking out. The baby, when the mommy glides, right, the baby also clings on to the patagium, okay, which is this membrane, and okay. So the baby is with the mommy for some time before being independent. Okay, so the horse flying squirrel also it basically holds up literally in a tree hole during the day. Only at night that it comes out. So you can see that it's nocturnal here with this moon symbol. Okay, and it has this orangey underbelly and the patagium that allows it to glide, and it eats fruits mostly. Okay, it goes around in groups, and you can hear its high pitched chi 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 call that the male will call okay? When if it's it's a call that sounds like a buck, and it's an alarm call that is actually quite afraid of humans, but we have seen it gliding around in the forest at night. So the greater mouse deer and the lesser mouse deer, this one is only found in Pulau Ubin. Lesser mouse deer can be found in our Central Nature Reserve at Chestnut area, but the thing is that you are not allowed to enter the nature reserves at night. So, but the lesser mouse deer is crepuscular, meaning that it's active in both early morning and before dusk. So you could still see in the evenings, early morning, but otherwise you're not allowed to enter at night, even though sometimes it's also nocturnal. Okay, the greater mouse deer is largely nocturnal. It's about this is about 3.5 kg, whereas the lesser mouse deer is 2.5 kg, smaller a bit, and it has, hold on a while. Okay, so basically it has okay, the greater mouse deer, they both feed on fallen fruits and shoots and leaves, and the distinguishing feature is that the greater mouse deer has a longer, coarser hair versus the short crop hair of the lesser mouse deer. It looks obviously bigger, 3.5 kg versus 2.5 kg, and it has markings on the throat and breast that is a bit different. There are like 5 stripes versus 3 stripes. Okay, 3 white stripes. Okay, then we have the slow lories. Okay, I just tell you a little story of the mouse deer. So the mouse deer is also called the sang kancil, which is a Malay folklore, has a lot of clever stories of the mouse deer. So one is that because it's small, it has to use its brains to outwit bigger and cleverer and predators that want to eat it. So there's this story of the mouse deer, how they cross the river when it's infested with crocodiles. So what I did was okay, basically what happened was that the river bank on his side, all the fruits has been eaten up, so he wants to cross over to the other side to eat the food. But then since there's a lot of crocodiles, he told the crocodiles that, the Sultan wants me to count, to invite all of y'all, but he needs me to count number of crocodiles to see how many to invite. So then I said, we need all the crocodiles together. So the crocodiles, they gathered, and they basically were filled. I mean, basically form a bridge. So that as the mouse there counted, he managed to cross safely without being eaten. Okay. So of course the crocodiles are very mad with him. And that's how the mouse deer became, it's like a little trickster. Okay, okay, then we have the slow loris, which is unfortunately it looks very cute, but that's also detrimental to its being left wild and free. It's being poached for the pet trade. Okay, but the thing is that the slow loris has a venomous bite, so it's the only mammal with a bite that has toxin. That's because it licks a gland in its arm, and after that it has a toxin, but it also uses the toxin to coat to lick. After licking the gland in its arm, which contains the toxin, it will lick the baby's fur to give it a kind of chemical protection, so that the other predators won't attack the baby. Okay, so the loris is usually solitary, but sometimes you see in pairs. Okay. So it's photographed here in Malaysian Nature Reserve, one of the Malaysian forests, okay, by my husband, Timothy. Okay, and then the loris is also moves fairly slowly, that's why it's called the slow loris, but actually it's not true, it can move fairly fast, but it doesn't leap. It's still a methodical kind of climber, okay? It doesn't really come to the ground, and the eye shine is very bright at night, yeah, very big eyes. And it eats leaves and young shoots. Okay, so we have the pangolin, or also known as scaly anteater. You can see the scales on its body, and interestingly, it can climb trees. So I've actually seen it climb a tree, and the scales only are on the upper part of the body. The lower part, the belly, is actually normal skin, which is soft. So the pangolin, as a defense mechanism, will roll up into a ball. You can see the ball over here. The head is here, tucked underneath. And it rolls in a ball as a defense mechanism against predators. Okay, so even a human comes along, it rolls in a ball. That is why it's easily poached, because the poachers can just cut it away in a nice ball. That's sad. Okay, it's Chinese medicine believe that the pangolin scales is able to cure various ailments, but I mean, actually the scales are made of same material as your fingernails, so we're not too sure about that. Of course, we do not advocate purchasing any of these products. Okay, so the pangolin is called scaly anteater because it has a long sticky tongue and sharp claws. So the long sticky tongue, it eats mostly ants and termites, and the claws allow it to burrow underground to look for ant nests or attack termite mouse. It's able to break that very hard mound, and it licks up to 200,000 ants or termites a night. Okay? It's a nocturnal creature. Okay. So essentially, the Oriental small-clawed otter is also nocturnal. Just now I mentioned about the smooth otter. It has been known that the Singapore population is a very interesting hybrid between the smooth otter and the Oriental small-clawed. So apparently, out of the 17 otters that they found, all 17 have some Oriental small-clawed otter genes in them. So that means far up in the that means very long ago, the likely the male so hold on okay, basically they mated very long ago, and so therefore all the children now are all hybridized. Okay, so as I said, this has partially web feet, and you look at the claws, it's not sharp and long like just now the smooth otter, but it's short. Okay, and it eats mostly crabs and snails. It lives in mangroves area. Yeah. Okay, then we come to the last animal here, the mammal, which is the dolphin. It's also called the pink dolphin. It's Indo-Pacific humpback dolphin. You can see if you're super lucky in the southern islands, like St. John's Island, and sometimes it's found in northern islands, the northern area of Singapore, like the Johor Straits. But mostly the water is less polluted in the southern islands, so it's actually affected by pollution. And the adult is mostly pinkish. And you can see that the baby here is gray. Okay, it's about 1 meter long at birth, but it can grow to about 2.8 meters in length. And it has a very small dorsal fin compared to the bottlenose dolphin, which is a much sharper dorsal fin. Okay, about 15 cm high only. And it has a beak full of teeth. It catches fish. So the pink dolphin, as I said, breathes air, so he has to surface for air. So that's why you can keep seeing it coming at the surface because he has to breathe. Okay, he can only hold his breath for so long. Okay. So I just want to mention that if you are doing wildlife watching, these are some of the code of ethics that we follow. Don't destroy the plants, keep to the pathways, do not go off track. Don't destroy vegetation to get better view of photo. Don't get close to wildlife, okay? Because humans frighten the animals, so the young can be abandoned by the parents. So the idea is that you have binoculars, scopes, and cameras in order to let you watch from a distance without scaring the animal. Don't harass wildlife. Don't feed, molest, torture, poach, or kill. Then minimize the use of flash photography. Okay, flash photography can hurt the animal's eyes. And if you see anybody abusing nature, please let them know that animals also have feelings and are sensitive. Okay, or they are sentient beings. And so basically, you can actually take a photo of this any misdeeds and report them to NParks. Okay, so the full code of ethics, you can access it on the Nature Society website under this link. Okay, and Nature Society, essentially, I run the Farm and Nature program, which I've done it since 2008, so it's for the last 13 years, mostly for families with children as young, 4 years old and upwards. Okay, so Nature Society itself has many interest groups, including the vertebrate study group, which is the main mammal watching group. Okay, so, but of course there's bird watching, butterfly watching, plants, and even brambles, which are nature walks without looking at everything. Okay, so nature appreciation, because of COVID, we are now mostly conducting talks. Okay, birds, butterflies, insects, plant, marine life, and vertebrates. Okay, we also collaborate with schools and community groups for nature appreciation and education, campaign for protection of natural habitats. So basically, we also engage the government agencies to have, and we have various sensors and studies and produce papers, white papers, so that we have the data to back what we say on what to conserve, okay, and to protect biodiversity. So you can also go for guided walks by NSS. Okay, I myself am a nature guide, so these are some of the walks I conduct at the Rear Corridor, Pasir Ris Mangroves, and Bukit Batok Nature Park. So Rear Corridor, you can see the civet, and at Bukit Batok, you can see the Colugo at night. Okay, and there are also other nature guides around. We do walks with private groups, schools, and companies. Okay, so if you're interested, you can write to myself. Okay, this is my email over here. Okay, so we have this Wild Animals of Singapore guide book. Okay, you can see the cover over here. Second edition. This book has been around for some time. To me, it's the best guide to Singapore mammals as a book. Photographic guide that not only features mammals but reptiles, amphibians, and freshwater fishes. Okay, you can buy it from the Nature Society office or borrow from the library. And the second and third edition is likely to be published in 2022. Okay, so it's okay. I just stop share for a while. I show you my copy of the book. Okay, so it has all these okay mammals, nice big pictures with a description over here. Okay, so the cover looks like this, and a really nifty book that contains everything that you need to see, and it also has a species checklist at the very back. Checklist means all the species that you know. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So so I would like to thank Nick Baker. Nick Baker, who has allowed me to use a lot of the images that you see just now from this Ecology Asia website. Okay, so Ecology Asia is also another good website to reference if you don't have the book, where he has a lot of photos as well as information on a lot of mammals, not just in Singapore but the rest of Asia. Okay, Ecology Asia, you can Google for it. Okay, and Nature Society has also conducted several webinars since COVID struck. Okay, from butterflies to birds to even otters and hornbills. Okay, so you can see over here, this is a otter talk given by Gloria Seow. You can find on the YouTube channel. There's very interesting information on otters here. Okay, so now I'll open up for questions. Anybody can type it in the chat box. Thank you.
Okay, hi. I'll be reading out questions to Gloria. So, first question is, what is a loris?
A loris. Okay, it's a primate that is has 8. There are 8 species of loris. Okay, the Sundas loris is the one found in our region, but there's Borneo itself has four species of loris. Okay, including the Philippine stoloris. And there's also 2 slender lorises that are found in India and Sri Lanka. So the loris basically has huge eyes forward facing, and it is related. Primates means it's related to monkeys and even the great apes, orangutans, or the gorillas, but is considered more primitive. Okay. So it is. What else you want me to say? What else? I don't really understand what you mean. What is a loris? So if you can be more specific, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay. The other question is, what are the smallest and largest mammals?
Smallest and largest in Singapore. So the smallest mammal, it could be the house shrew. Okay, just now I told you it's small and cute with short stubby legs. The largest is the wild pig. Okay, the wild pig is the largest mammal in Singapore. Although the sambar deer supposedly is found in Singapore, but the sambar deer is likely escapees from the local zoo.
Okay, which mammal species is most threatened by extinction in Singapore?
The reference banded langur, there's only 67 individuals left, and the habitat, although it is, when I first started watching, I think there were only 20, so it has improved. I mean, it's grown by 3 times. That's because we have a lot of extensive efforts, including building road bridges that across. So road bridges are basically a bridge that connects two stands of forest so that the animals they basically are arboreal. That means they are in trees and then they do not go on the ground. So it's in the most danger of being extinct because there's only very, very small numbers of them. Okay.
How many venomous mammals are there?
Only one, the slow loris.
Okay. Is there any smartphone app that can be used to identify animals?
Not that I know of.
Is the Indo-Pacific dolphin found in Singapore?
Yes, it is. It can be seen in the southern islands. If you take a ferry from Singapore to St. John's Island, you might, if you are super lucky, you can see it. Or if you are diving around the southern islands, or apparently another place that you can watch it is in Hong Kong, because I understand they have dolphin trips that go out to watch the dolphins. And unfortunately, it's also found in some of the local tourist attractions. Yeah.
Does WRS do captive breeding of local species?
Apparently they do, but you can check with the zoo. Yeah, I won't have details.
What is the largest carnivore in mammal in Singapore?
Carnivore. Okay, it could. Okay, we do not have leopards or lions, tigers now, but the civet is fairly big and it's a carnivore. The pigs are omnivore, but it doesn't predate, doesn't kill anything that except for insects. Yeah, so I would say the common palm civet. Do you have any idea, Tim?
Yeah, I think the civet is the largest carnivore that we can say lives in Singapore.
Yes, the common palm civet. Tim is also one of the long-standing members of the vertebrate study group in Nature Society. So just now, the Wild Animals of Singapore book is the publication by NSS.
So, why is a dolphin pink?
Okay, in China, this dolphin has variable colors. So in China, it's called the Chinese white dolphin. So it can be even ranged to be even paler than that. Basically, this is because it doesn't have pigmentation. That's why it's pink. But I'm not sure exactly why it's pink. Yeah.
So, what about the dugong?
The dugong is also found in Singapore. We can see evidence of its feeding trails in the intertidal areas. So it eats seagrass, and it basically not just eat the seagrass on the surface, but even uproots the entire thing. So that's why it has feeding trails, because a large patch of seagrass suddenly it's just mud going as a trail. Okay, so the dugong is it's called the sea cow also because it grazes on seagrass. And it can be found in the Johor River. Likewise, the dolphin apparently has been known to swim upriver into freshwater areas. Yeah. So what about dugong? I mean, what is the question? Sorry.
That's it. What about the dugong? I suppose they want to know about the dugong. That's about it.
Okay, yeah. The dugong is also a mammal that can be found. I even found the tusk of the tusk. Male dugongs have tusk, so I even found the tusk during intertidal walk on the beach. But there was no carcass nearby, so it's the dugong had long died. So the threats to dugong is that it can be trapped in fishing nets, and because these are all air-breathing mammals. Likewise, the dolphins, fishing nets, and all these man-made objects can entangle it, and then it cannot surface for air and it dies. Okay, so the dugong, some carcasses has been found here and there in local waters. Yeah.
Okay, is beluga a mammal? Okay, I presume that means the beluga whale.
Yes, it is. A whale is a mammal, yes. It's only found in the Canada, the very cold waters of near the Arctic. Yes.
Okay, that is an interesting one. There are more sightings of wild animals in recent years. What do you think are the reasons?
Okay, the habitat has improved somewhat, and of course, Nature Society and NParks are all making efforts to improve the habitat because, as you know, a lot of these mammals are nocturnal and live in forests. So, without the forest, they will all die. They cannot live. They are not that adaptable. Only a handful are adaptable, but most are not. So, when you restore the habitat, you rehabilitate it, you plant more trees, you restrict human access to some of these places, the habitat will get better, and then therefore can support more plants means more insects means more food, and therefore more mammals and everything else. So habitat is the most important way to restore to increase the animal population.
Okay, here's a very interesting one. Do otters eat rats and shrews?
Not that I know of. They eat fish. Okay, so they like to dive for fish. Yes.
Can I?
Yes.
Yeah, actually there are more than one species of otter. The one that we are familiar with, the smooth otter, it actually is specialized in catching fish. There's another smaller otter, the small clawed otter, which actually is smaller. It actually goes more for crustaceans, prawns, I suppose more expensive food. So basically, they are specialized in smaller areas, and so the different otters do actually eat different diets. But rats and shrews tend to be land animals, whereas the otters. Okay, thank you. So basically, these so basically they actually don't meet that much. So I presume they have not much opportunity. Okay, now here's an interesting one. How to manage the overpopulation of wild pigs?
Okay, there are people that believe in culling them, but others say no because it's an ethical question. So I don't have an opinion because I'd rather not go into the fray. Yeah.
Okay, now, is there any last questions? Okay. Okay, a question mark. That's what the last question is. So if there's no longer, there's one question here. Does the Asian house rat carry disease?
Okay, rats are known to carry fleas which might have the bubonic plague, but there's also various other diseases like leptospirosis, which is found in the rat's urine, and another one I don't remember now. Do you know?
Can't think offhand.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, rats are known to transmit diseases but shrews apparently don't have at all diseases. Yes.
Okay. Well, I think we can end down here. So,
Okay.
Gloria, for hosting or doing the talk and for answering the questions.
Okay.
So
thank you.
we'll end the thing right now. Okay. And thank you all for attending. I hope it's been interesting.
Okay. Bye bye.
one more question.
Hi.
Yes, what's the question? Hello?
The mouse eyes were white. This is one.
Sorry?
The eyes were white. The mouse. So one of the mouse pictures and the eyes is white.
Sorry, any more? Don't quite understand what you're asking.
I know. There was one picture with the mouse eyes. So,
Oh, the eyes, is it? I think it's because it's taken with a camera at night, so it has this reflective eye. So the actual color is usually black.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the eye is at night, you shine a light into it, it reflects the light out directly to it. So a camera, when you use a flash, it bounces back basically you're looking at the camera flash in the eye. So in a torch, you shine, it will shine back, it looks red. So the different colors.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.